IT department conducts raid on Chinese companies and their associated groups, money laundering being the reason behind the raids. Violence breaks out in East Bengaluru over a controversial and objectionable post on social media. Police fires at mob, creating arson and stone pelting. 2 people die, several injured in firing. Curfew imposed in violence 8 areas. Intense rainfall predicted over plains of northwest India, Gujarat and central parts of India in the coming days. Delhi likely to receive rainfall during the day. India's situation in the battle against COVID-19 more strong than earlier. Recovery rate touches nearly 70%. Number of recoveries near 16 lakh. Death rate falls further to 1.99%. World over, cases cross 2 crore. Auckland, city of New Zealand, enforces lockdown again after new cases detected after 102 days. Meeting on vaccine administration of COVID-19 to take place today. Russia announces COVID vaccine Sputnik. Brazil in talks with Russia for vaccine development. Democrat Joe Biden chooses U.S. Senator Kamala Harris for White House running mate, making her the first black woman on a major party U.S. presidential ticket. Biden to compete President Donald Trump in the November 3rd elections. Nation celebrates festival of Janmashtami with great pomp and religious fervor. President and Prime Minister greet people on the occasion. World Elephant Day also being celebrated today. Good morning, welcome to English News. I am Anil Thomas. Now for the stories in detail. The Income Tax Department has conducted raids against some Chinese individuals and their local associates for allegedly indulging in a money laundering racket involving 1,000 crore rupees using shell or dubious firms. According to the Central Board of Direct Taxes, the searches were launched based on credible inputs that a few Chinese individuals and their Indian associates were involved in money laundering and hawala transactions through a series of shell entities. The tax officials raided some bank officials involved in the scam. Based on the credible information that few Chinese individuals and their Indian associates were involved in money laundering and hawala transactions through a series of shell entities, a search action was mounted at various premises of these Chinese entities, their close confederates and couple of bank employees, confirmed sources in the Finance Ministry. Search action revealed that at the behest of Chinese individuals, more than 40 bank accounts were created in various dummy entities, entering into credits of more than 1,000 crore rupees over the period. The case of money laundering is evident from the fact that a subsidiary of the Chinese company and its related concerns have taken over 100 crore bogus loans from shell entities for opening businesses of retail showrooms in India. Further, incriminating documents in respect of hawala transactions and laundering of money with active involvement of bank employees and chartered accountants has been found as a result of the search action. There is also evidence of foreign hawala transactions involving Hong Kong and US dollars have also been unearthed. Further investigations are under process. Well, for more on this story, Ajay Mishra, our correspondent tracking finance for us, joining us this morning. Ajay, give us more details with regards to the raids that have been conducted and what more has been unearthed.
Good morning, Anil. I think the Income Tax Department has broken a big nexus of Chinese companies which are using the hawala network in our country. And there has been 21 locations in Delhi, Ghaziabad and Gurgaon which has been searched and seizures has been made.
Okay.
It's very important to note that one Chinese individual has been arrested by Income Tax Department, which is very rare. His name is Charlie Pang, and Mr. Pang was holding a fake Indian passport, and that too from the state of Manipur. So imagine that a Chinese citizen first goes to Manipur, issues fake passports in his name, and then comes to the NCR region to conduct these kind of dubious money laundering activities. It is alleged that he was using 8 to 10 bank accounts in fictitious names under Pang, which is not his real name. His real name is Mr. Lau, and he was representing many Chinese companies in India and was into hawala operations. It's very, very serious investigations which the Income Tax Department, especially the CBDT, has conducted yesterday, and they have broken the big nexus of hawala network via Chinese companies. I think one of the major breakthroughs in recent times.
Okay, if a larger nexus is suspected, do you expect the ED and also the CBI to come into play when it comes to, because we are talking about huge amounts, 1,000 crores of money laundering?
Absolutely. I think enforcement directive is surely going to come in picture going forward. I'm not sure about the CBI, but obviously where the financial misappropriation of the funds are involved, money laundering is involved, obviously enforcement directorate is going to take over the investigation. When this Chinese individual, which has been caught by the Income Tax Department, will be investigated, there are more links which are likely to come up. And remember, some of the bank officials has also been questioned in this matter, Anil, and also some of the chartered accountants has also been identified who are involved in the whole nexus. And you remember when the Modi government first had a big crackdown on black money operations, there were almost 3 lakh shell companies which were closed down in India. And this is yet another classic example of creation of shell companies, parking black money into those shell companies, taking advances from those shell companies into the Indian subsidiary of the Chinese companies, and then using it to open showrooms and malls and retail outlets for Chinese goods, so to so. So there are so many systemic failures in this whole operation. There are so many systemic lacunas where you can issue a fake passport from an Indian state of Manipur, and you get entry from China into Manipur, and then you come to NCR region, you establish your Chinese subsidiaries, and you just get along with the bank officials and some chartered accountants to actually create the fictitious companies for the Chinese subsidiaries in India, and then you actually try to launder the money. So this is just now 300 crores of hawala operations which has been, and you just told our viewers that Hong Kong was involved for this whole hawala transaction. So remember, it's a kind of multi-nation dubious transaction that has been unearthed, and it is expected that more details might come after the investigation.
Okay, one quick word before I let you go. You mentioned about some Indian chartered accountants and bank officials there. Also, does this particular ambit of raids restrict only to the North India, or are we looking at a larger and a bigger nexus that we could soon see unfolding? The connection might extend from here onwards, but what we know as of now is only 21 locations in Delhi, Ghaziabad and Gurgaon area. So obviously these are the multinationals, Chinese companies which are operating in NCR regions, and the searches and seizures have been conducted on Chinese entities, which means the companies which were being operated by this so-called Charlie Pang, which is a fictitious name, which is a fake name, but obviously more details are yet to come. Okay, we leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us. The IT department, they're raiding Chinese firms for money laundering and hawala transactions. Well, moving on now, moving down south, in Karnataka, police opened fire at a mob creating arson and stone pelting at the DJ Halli in Bengaluru East on Tuesday. Violence broke out in the DJ Halli Kaval by Rasandra over a controversial and objectionable post on social media hurting religious sentiments. Congress MLA Akhanda Srinivas Murthy's nephew Naveen is accused of posting the objectionable post on social media. Local youth in the area gathered and attacked MLA's house. They burned police vehicles and attempted to torch the house. Violence spread to surrounding areas and police opened fire to disperse the mob. 2 persons died while many others were injured in police firing. Karnataka Home Minister Basavaraj Bommai has reviewed the situation and ordered police to bring law and order in control in the area. Karnataka Reserve Police have also been deployed in the area. Meanwhile, the MLA's relative who posted on social media has been taken into custody along with the miscreants who indulged in violence. Bangalore City Commissioner Kamal Pant has said that the situation has been brought under control and the mob dispersed. Meanwhile, curfew has been imposed in the violence hit areas in Bengaluru East. Well, Aisha Khanam, our correspondent, joining us with more on that particular incident. Aisha, what are the number of arrests of people or miscreants who created, loss to property there? How many of them have been taken into police custody? And what's the latest there from ground zero?
Well, Anil, the police has managed to bring the situation under control, and it is largely peaceful now in this in these three areas where the violence broke out last night. And according to the Bangalore City Police Commissioner Kamal Pant, about 110 people have been taken in custody. They have been arrested along with the accused who posted the derogatory message or social media posts. He has also been arrested last night. And also one corporator in this board has also been taken in custody. This corporator belongs to SDPI party. So now the police has deployed additional forces in these three areas, and the situation is largely peaceful right now. The Chief Minister, Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa is reviewing the situation. He has called a meeting and asked the police to submit a report as to what happened last night, because the situation completely went out of control when a huge mob gathered outside police station to lodge a complaint against the person who posted a derogatory social media post. And this person is a relative of a Congress MLA, Akhanda Srinivas Murthy. So then the police is now investigating as to what led to this violence outside the police station, wherein large scale of arson and an attack on the police also happened. And when the police opened fire, two people have been killed in this firing. But the police says that at the moment the situation is peaceful, and there is curfew in these three areas: DJ Halli, KG Halli, and Kaval Bairchandra.
Okay, you informed us that two people died and one person was injured there. But looking on the flip side, there were a lot of policemen who also got injured. Is there an update on the police injury, on the policemen who were injured, and what's the update there on them?
Well, last night there was reports about 13 policemen being injured in this entire incident, and they are being treated at hospitals. But after the firing, the situation was restored. The peace was restored in these areas, and since then it has remained peaceful.
Okay, we'll leave with that. Thank you and appreciate you joining us this morning with those updates there from down south Karnataka in Bengaluru city. Moving on now for an update on COVID-19 from across the country. Successful implementation of containment strategy, aggressive testing coupled with standardized clinical management of critical patients have resulted in the rise of COVID-19 recovery rate to nearly 70%, while the case fatality rate has fallen below 2%. The number of people who recovered from the disease was nearing 16 lakh, while the number of active COVID-19 cases in the country stands at 6,39,000, which is 28% of the total cases reported so far. A high recovery rate means the difference between the number of active cases and the number of people who have recovered is 9.5 lakhs. India's three-pronged strategy of test, trace and treat are finally delivering results. One tangible outcome of this particular strategy is that the mortality rate has dropped to 1.99%.
हम लगभग 4 गुना से ज़्यादा इस संख्या का टेस्ट कर रहे हैं। देश के औसत में देश में 506 टेस्ट प्रतिदिन प्रति मिलियन पॉपुलेशन हो रहे हैं। ऐसे भी राज्य हैं जो देश के औसत से अधिक टेस्ट कर रहे हैं। पहले 3 राज्य उसमें गोवा, दिल्ली और तमिलनाडु हैं, और बाकी राज्यों का भी ब्यौरा हमने आपको दिया है।
Expert Committee on Vaccine Administration under the chairmanship of Niti Aayog member Dr. V.K. Paul will meet today to consider logistics and ethical aspects of procurement and administration of COVID-19 vaccine. The committee would reach out to all stakeholders, including state governments and pharmaceutical companies. Public and private sectors are working hand in hand on conducting human trials of potential vaccines. The committee would chalk out strategies on the aspects of prioritization of the vaccine administration once it's developed, rollout and cold chain logistics, and training of the people who would be administering it.
जब भी देश में वैक्सीन बनेगी उसका प्रोक्योरमेंट किस प्रकार से होगा, ये जो एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप है ये उस पर जरूर विचार करेगा। किसी देश विशेष में क्या वैक्सीन बन रही है, नहीं बन रही है, ये एकदम हाइपोथेटिकल प्रश्न है, इसका उत्तर इस समय नहीं दिया जा सकता है।
To strengthen the armed forces by relying on indigenous capability to take forward the initiative on Atmanirbhar Bharat, the Defence Acquisition Council, in its meeting held under the chairmanship of Defence Minister Rajnath Singh in New Delhi on Tuesday, accorded approval for capital acquisitions of various platforms and equipment required by the Indian Armed Forces. Proposals for an approximate cost of 8,722.38 crore rupees were approved. The DAC approved procurement of 106 basic trainer aircraft from Hindustan Aeronautics Limited to address the basic training requirements of the Indian Air Force. Post-certification, 70 basic trainer aircraft will be initially procured from HAL and the balance 36 after operationalization of the HTT-40 fleet in Indian Air Force. The DAC also approved procurement of an upgraded version of Super Rapid Gun Mount, which is fitted as the main gun on board the Navy and Indian Coast Guard warships from BHEL. Time now for weather updates. Floods have wreaked havoc in many parts of the country. Flood situation in Bihar remains grim. 16 districts of the state are under the grip of floods. On Tuesday, 1,79,000 cuses of water were released from Koshi Barrage, while 1,77,000 cuses of water was discharged from the Gandak Barrage in Valmiki Nagar. Around 1,360 Gram Panchayats have been hit. The flood situation is particularly serious in Darbhanga, Muzaffarpur and Saran district. Flood water has entered into houses in urban areas of Darbhanga and Muzaffarpur. Many parts of Uttar Pradesh are also affected due to floods. The heavy rainfall occurred at various places during the last 24 hours, and the IMD has also forecast rain at most places in the state in the next 24 hours. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath visited Gorakhpur to take stock of the flood situation there. The Chief Minister held a meeting with the officials and reviewed the flood situation. In Kerala, the death toll in the Idukki landslide has risen to 52. 3 more bodies were recovered from the wreckage in Petimundi near Rajamala. NDRF firefighters and police department personnel are engaged in search operations of the missing 19 people. These people have been missing since August 7th. The water level at the Mullai Periyar Dam in Idukki district has reached 136.85 feet. The Kerala government on Saturday asked the Tamil Nadu government to release water in a phased manner through the tunnel from Mullai Periyar to the Vaigai Dam. In Madhya Pradesh, I beg your pardon, a deputy collector rank officer posted in the Mantralaya in Bhopal was found dead under mysterious conditions in his residence at Pebble Bay Colony. Lakhan Singh Tekam was on leave since the 3rd of this month. The dead body was found on the first floor of his house. Police suspect foul play in the death and have initiated a probe. Well, for more on this story, Aditya Srivastava, correspondent, joining in from Bhopal this morning. Good morning, Aditya. Aditya, give us a sense of why the police feel there is a case of foul play in this particular death of an official.
Yes, the Deputy Collector rank officer Lakhan Tekam body found in his house under the mysterious circumstances in Bhopal. He had not attended office for last 10 days. He had not speaking to his wife for some days and remained locked in himself in his room. His wife said she placed two food in front of his door, and when she went last night, she saw he had not took the day before food in front of his door. She had doubt. She called to the neighbors, and when they come, they all broke the door. When they entered the room, they found a dead body. Police said investigation is going on. All circumstances and all will be clear after the postmortem report arrive. But yes, the statement of family members taken by the police and investigation is more under the process, like this is murder. Whether this is murder or whether this is suicide, all will clear after the postmortem report will come.
Okay, we'll leave it there. We'll have to wait for the autopsy report to come to know the real reasons and on why it happened, on how it happened. Well, let's now take a look at updates from COVID-19 from across the globe. The number of coronavirus cases recorded worldwide has crossed or surpassed the 2 crore mark, recording over 2 crore 5 lakh cases. More than half of the world's cases have been recorded in the United States, taking the country's number of cases to over 53 lakh and 3,000. With the rapid rise in cases, the United States remains the worst affected by the virus for several weeks. So far, a total of 7,44,000 people have died from COVID-19 worldwide. The United States has recorded over 1,67,000 deaths, followed by Brazil, which has recorded more than 1,03,000 deaths. The virus has also claimed over 53,000 lives in Mexico. Joe Biden, the Democratic presidential candidate, has named Kamala Harris as his pick for vice president. Harris is the first black woman and the first person of Indian descent to be nominated for national office by a major party, and only the fourth woman in history to be chosen for one of their presidential tickets. In a first public response to the announcement, Harris tweeted, "I am honored to join him as a party's nominee for vice president and do what it takes to make him our commander-in-chief."
Joe Biden calls her a fearless fighter for the little guy and one of America's finest public servants. He's referring to Kamala Harris, the woman that he's chosen to be his running mate in the US presidential election. Now, Kamala Harris is an African-American woman, and it's the first time that a woman of color has been chosen to be on the presidential ticket. She's also Asian-American, as she is the daughter of an Indian mother, and it's the first time that an Asian-American female has been on the ticket. So a number of firsts. We knew for some time that Joe Biden was going to choose a woman as his running mate. That was announced many months ago, but it's now taken weeks and weeks of speculation, weeks of interview to whittle down the candidates, finally deciding on Kamala Harris. She's a 55-year-old politician currently serving as one of the 2 senators in California. It shows that she's a tried and tested politician, that she has been voted into office. She's a pragmatist. She was previously serving as the Attorney General in California. However, during that time, she made a number of decisions that Republicans will say were unpopular with the African-American community. However, at a time of nationwide Black Lives Matter protests and at a time when there are increased calls for police reform and for racial inequality to end, it is likely that Kamala Harris's African-American heritage and her background in policing will serve her and Joe Biden well. That might be part of the reason why he decided to choose her. Remember, however, she did run against him. She was hoping to be the Democratic nominee in this whole process. That didn't happen, and she'll now have to put her differences aside to work alongside Joe Biden as they try to defeat Donald Trump in November's election.
Well, the US presidential election takes place on the 3rd of November this year. Moving on, the festival of Janmashtami, which marks the birth of Lord Krishna, is being celebrated in some parts of the nation today. President Ramnath Kovind and Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeted the nation on this auspicious occasion of Janmashtami. That's all we have time for in this edition of news, but do not forget to maintain social distancing in this celebration season. Also, wear your mask, use the hand sanitizer or wash your hands every 20 minutes to keep yourself safe, because we need to see a better tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Time now to take a look at the weather. The monsoon trough is near its normal position. A fresh low pressure area is likely to form over the northwest Bay of Bengal and the neighborhood, while a cyclonic circulation lies over northeast Rajasthan and its neighborhood at low levels. Fairly widespread to widespread rainfall with heavy to very heavy falls at isolated places very likely over major parts of northwest India, western Himalayan region, Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi, Uttar Pradesh during the next 2 to 3 days. Fairly widespread to widespread rainfall, heavy to very heavy falls at isolated places over Gujarat, East Rajasthan and parts of central India. Isolated extremely heavy falls likely over Gujarat state and East Rajasthan and also northern parts of Goa and Konkan region over the next 2 to 3 days. Moderate to severe thunderstorm accompanied with lightning very likely at few places over Bihar and isolated places over East Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, coastal Andhra Pradesh and Jharkhand during the next 24 hours. Also strong winds reaching 50 to 60 kilometers per hour very likely over southwest and west central Arabian Sea. Fishermen being advised not to venture into the sea. Well, time now to take a look at the weather in your city.